Q is 2. 2 2s are 4 joules. So, potential difference may be 2 volt, 1 volt, 6 volt, 8 volt, 12 volt, whatever. So, this potential difference into the quantity of charge taken from this point to this point. It gives us the work done by the battery. In fact, battery does the work here. It is transferring, it is giving the energy to the charges, and the charges are moved from one point to other point, positive charges. The negative charge will move from this point to this point. In fact, charges are not moving here. By the collision of charges, the energy is transmitted. Fine. Then, let us discuss about Ohm's law. Fine. Ohm's law is very important. Ohm's law states that the amount of electricity flowing through a conductor, carrying through a conductor, is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across the conductor. Let us consider a circuit here, which is popularly known as Ohm's law circuit, which contains a battery. A battery is a combination of two or more cells. And here is a key. This is a battery. This is a key. And then here is a rheostat. Rheostat is a potential divider, voltage divider. Okay. And here there are two ends. The rheostat has one end is left free, the other end of the rheostat is connected to key. Then this is connected to the ammeter. The positive terminal is connected to positive terminal of the ammeter. Ammeter measures current. Then it is connected to a resistor or a conductor. This is the conductor. We want to measure how much current is flowing through this conductor, through this resistor. When certain potential difference is applied, the potential difference applied across the conductor from the battery can be seen through this voltmeter. So this voltmeter gives us how much potential difference is applied across this conductor from this battery. It's 1 volt or 2 volt or 3 volt, how much? And how much current is flowing through this conductor when a particular voltage is applied. How much current is flowing through this conductor can be seen through this ammeter. Ammeter can be connected in any part of the circuit, because in series connection the current will be same at every point. Either you can connect ammeter here, anyway the current at any point in series combination, in single form, it will be same. But to measure potential difference, the voltmeter should be connected parallel, because potential difference can be measured at 2 points. So 2 points are required. Therefore, these should be connected parallel. To measure potential difference, 2 points are required. At 1 point, you cannot measure potential difference. 2 points are required. Therefore, this voltmeter should be connected parallel to the conductor. So, according to Ohm's law, the current that is flowing through this conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across this conductor. We write that the current flowing through the conductor is directly proportional to the PD applied across the conductor. If you apply more voltage here, in place of 1 volt, if you apply 2 volt, the current increases. If you double the voltage, then the current also doubles. Say for example, if V is doubled, then I is also doubled. If V is tripled, then I is tripled. So I, that is current flowing through this conductor, depends on potential difference. That is what Ohm's law states. If V is made 4 times, I will be 4 times. So V is proportional to I. Then keeping one proportionality constant, V is equal to R into I. What is R? R is the proportionality constant, which is known as resistance of this conductor. What is resistance? Resistance is the property of this conductor which opposes the flow of charges. Conductors have low resistance, semiconductors have moderate resistance, and insulators have high resistance. Right? So R is equal to V upon I. How do we remember? We remember this formula. We can write V equal to Ri, R equal to V by I, and then I is equal to V by R. These are 3 forms of Ohm's law. How to remember? It's very easy. Use this trick to remember. Use this technique to remember these forms of Ohm's law. First one, V is equal to Ri. V equals to R into I. Second one, R is equal to V by I. R is equal to V by I. Third one, I is equal to V by R. I is equal to V by R. What is the SI unit of resistance? The SI unit of resistance is Ohm. R is measured in ohms. To honor Ohm, the SI unit of resistance is given, is named as Ohm. So Ohm, and current is measured in ampere, and potential difference is measured in volt. Why? This Ohm's law is not a universal law. It's applicable only for conductors at low temperature. At high temperature, V is not directly proportional to I. If V doubles, I will not be doubled, even for conductors at high temperature. So, what are the limitations of Ohm's law? Ohm's law is applicable only for conductors. Ohm's law is not applicable for insulators and semiconductors. Ohm's law is applicable for conductors at a certain moderate temperature, not at high temperature. At high temperature, V is not proportional to I. So these are limitations of Ohm's law. Fine. How to put this information in the graph? Here is a graph. V versus I, or I versus V. Current is measured in ampere. Potential difference is measured in volt. Potential difference across the conductor current flowing through a conductor having this relation. What is that relation? They are directly proportional. Whenever two quantities are directly proportional, there will be a straight line passing through the origin. It indicates that V is proportional to I. If current is proportional to V, then there is a straight line passing through the origin. Fine. So from this we can just repeat the statement. Current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to potential difference when the temperature of the conductor is constant. If the temperature of the conductor is changing, then V is not proportional to I. Fine. So at high temperature, this will not be a straight line. This takes a curve like this. It indicates that Ohm's law is not applicable for conductors at high temperature. Fine. Fine. Then let us discuss about a very important factor, resistance. What is resistance? And just now we discussed that conductors have low resistances, semiconductors have moderate resistances, insulators have very large resistances. Silver is the best conductor because it has least resistance. Fine. So, what is resistance? Resistance is the property of a substance by which the substance opposes the flow of charges. It is the property of a substance by which it opposes the flow of charges. Right? Then how do we write the symbol of resistance? R. And this resistance of a conductor depends on what factors? If the length of the conductor is larger, then the resistance would be larger. From this we can write resistance of a conductor directly proportional to length. If L becomes 2L, then R becomes 2R. As the length of the conductor increases, the resistance also increases. As we have seen in the transmission wire, electricity transmission wire, power lines, as the length of the wire increases, the resistance of the wire increases. So R is proportional to L. The second factor on which the resistance depends is cross-sectional area. How? As in the beginning of the class we learned that if the cross-sectional area, if the surface area is larger, there will be more flow of charges through it and there will be more flow of electricity. That means as the cross-sectional area increases, resistance decreases, therefore the flow of charges increases, the flow of electricity increases, the flow of electric current increases. So resistance is inversely proportional to cross-sectional area. This is a thicker conductor which has a greater area of cross-section. This is a greater area of cross-section, greater surface area. Larger the cross-sectional area, smaller the resistance and larger the flow of charges. So, the conclusion is resistance of a conductor is inversely proportional to cross-sectional area. Smaller the cross-sectional area, larger the resistance. Larger the cross-sectional area, smaller the resistance. This resistance depends on temperature of this material and also nature of the conductor. If the temperature of the same material is more, then its resistance is more. Suppose if the temperature of this conductor is 100 degrees Celsius instead of 20 degrees Celsius, then this conductor will have more resistance. So temperature of the conductor also influences on the resistance of the conductor. If the temperature is more, resistance is more. Then the resistance also depends on nature of the material. Nature means silver, copper, aluminium, chromium and so on. If you consider equal lengths and equal cross-sectional area of aluminium conductor, copper conductor, silver conductor and so on, silver will have less resistance than the other conductors. If you consider identical conductors of different material, silver, copper, iron and so on, silver will have low resistance and others will have different resistances. So resistance depends on the nature of the material. Fine. R is proportional to L, R is inversely proportional to A. Combining these two, we get R is proportional to L upon A. Then R is equal to some constant into L upon A. This constant is known as resistivity. Rho is equal to R A by L. What is this resistivity? Resistivity is the resistance of the material when the material has unit dimensions. Let us see here. Suppose you have a cube. You have a cube whose cross-sectional area is 1 unit. Say 1 millimeter square, whose length is 1 millimeter, 1 unit. If A is 1 unit and L is 1 unit, A is 1 and L is 1, then rho is equal to R. What is this? Resistivity of a material is the resistance of the material when the material has unit dimensions. Okay. Then what is the unit of resistivity? Resistivity unit is R into A by L. R is ohm. This is the symbol of ohm. Then area is measured in meter square in SI system. Length is measured in meter. Meter square by meter is meter. So meter. Ohm, this gives us meter. Meter square by meter is meter. So ohm meter is the SI unit of resistivity. Resistivity of a material does not depend on length or cross-sectional area. Suppose if you take aluminium conductor, whether aluminium has a big cross-sectional area or small cross-sectional area, big length or small length, aluminium will have only one resistivity. Whereas it will have different resistances when it has different lengths and different cross-sectional area. Therefore, the conclusion is simple. Resistivity does not depend on length. It does not depend on cross-sectional area. It only depends on the temperature and the nature of the material. If the temperature of the material increases, resistivity increases. Suppose if you take aluminium at 12 degrees Celsius, it will have different resistivity. The same aluminium at 1000 degrees Celsius or some 500 degrees Celsius, it will have different resistivity. Okay, so resistivity depends on temperature as well as the nature of the material. Aluminium will have one resistivity, copper will have another resistivity, silver will have another resistivity, and so on. Okay, what is the importance of resistivity? Yes, that's very important. We have certain substances which are known as alloys. Nichrome, manganese, constantan, okay, so these are alloys. They are combination of certain metals. Okay, they are used in making heating filaments. Heating filaments are used in electric press, electric heater, electric stove. Okay, heating appliances. Even if you take this fuse wire, it is combination of lead and tin. Okay, these are alloys. They are used as heating filaments, heating elements, because their resistivity is more than the resistivity of the conductor. They do not oxidize at high temperature. They do not oxidize at high temperature because the resistivity is more than the resistivity of the conductor. Therefore, they are preferred in making heating filaments. So this completes about resistivity.